We live in an era where tech strives to make our lives simpler, and that era often leads to us turning off features that are designed for our convenience. We're talking about Apple Intelligence trying to summarize what's been said in something like a text message and show it to you, but it doesn't always turn out right. This is probably the most famous example that I've seen where somebody says their mom texted, "That hike almost killed me," and Apple's AI summary was, "Attempted but recovered and hiked in Redlands and Palm Springs." Today's video is brought to you by The Great Onboarding, everything worth learning now, linked up down below with a 50% discount. Here's the thing, in theory, this could have been a really cool feature. So let's say you're doing something for 3 hours and you get a huge group of texts that have come in, right? Or let's say they're email notifications, whatever, and you need to quickly catch up on what you missed. Well, a AI summary in theory, seems like it could be a really great way to do that, right? The problem is trying to get the AI here for Apple Intelligence to give you something that represents what's actually been said and understands the nuances of how humans talk. And so sometimes people speak with hyperbole or they're just using slang or something. And the AI, ironically, because there's so many guardrails on Apple's AI, it just doesn't quite understand how to encapsulate oftentimes what people are trying to communicate. And sometimes that leads to just kind of nonsensical sounding stuff. It doesn't always pick up on sarcasm very well. Sometimes there's context missing, as Ars Technica has rounded up and pointed out here. And then other times, if you have a big group thread, let's say you're in a parent thread, right? You got a bunch of people in your friend group, whatever, and a lot of stuff has happened. Lots of different topics have been discussed. Well, it can be hard for Apple Intelligence to summarize everything, especially when there's a big weaving around of those topics. This one sort of cracks me up. The Verge found this. You know, it's a Ring doorbell alert, a Ring security system alert. It says multiple people at front door, back door, and driveway, which is pretty funny, right? If you have a security system, you know, that'll say person spotted, you know, in the driveway or front door, but whatever you've got your cameras labeled. But of course, this makes it sound like you're getting invaded. And the reason this is just sort of paradoxical is that this tech is aiming to reduce our cognitive load by summarizing information for us. But the problem is, as humans, when you outsource any of your thinking, you automatically run into having the risk of things not being presented accurately or in the best possible way or with the right sort of context. You know, it's going to be framed in a way that maybe you wouldn't just frame it if you looked at it and assessed it yourself. So we're trying to save time, right? And it's not just Apple Intelligence here. Let's not just pick on that. Like, this is kind of an AI thing in general, but also Apple is the one that implemented this version. And obviously if they're shipping it to people, then it needs to be ready and they need to make sure that it's good and useful and helpful and all that. And you can turn it off, and I'll show you how to turn it off here in just a second. But when you as a user are preferring to have a summary of any kind from any AI source, then just know you may not prefer it to the original unfiltered version for clarity. Now, you can turn this off, and let's just show you how to do that. A lot of people are turning this off. Just go to Settings, Apps, Messages, turn Summarize Messages on or off there. And this at least gives you control. So what you're balancing, what you're weighing here, and it's not just this, but it's with all the Apple Intelligence features and just AI in general, is control versus convenience, right? Those are the trade-offs, and you can't have it all, right? So you got to make a trade-off there. So you can actually just blanket turn off all your summarized previews, or you can do it, you know, on an app basis, like app by app basis. In terms of the overall sentiment, as I'm measuring it out there, I feel like this one's pretty split. It's not like one group super outweighs the other in terms of everyone's really positive or negative about it. I find that a lot of people just really do appreciate it, and it works for them a lot of the time. And it may have something to do with how many messages you're actually dealing with and people that you're dealing with throughout the day. That could kind of be a function of how you feel about it. For instance, if you are just dealing with tons and tons and tons of messages, you might like that streamlining approach, and you do want to automate some of that for yourself, and you don't mind. Maybe that's you. Or on the other hand, if you don't get all that much, and every message that you get is really important to you, and it's not a bunch of people that you don't know, or like you got added to some group thread or something, but it actually matters. It's just like a family or friend, you know, sort of a message, and you need it to be accurate. Maybe you don't want that automation. You want the autonomy yourself to check that out. It's very split. There's actually an entire subreddit for this, r/Apple Intelligence fail, where people are posting some of this stuff. You know, here's one where Apple Intelligence labeled this email as a priority that turned out to be a phishing scam. The weird thing about this is you're placing something in between you and your phone, A, and you and other people, B. and it may be more important for you to have more clear and direct communication with certain people or apps or functions on your phone. This is the balance that you'll have to decide and strike. And the purpose of people posting about this, other than, maybe they're frustrated or they think it's funny or whatever, and me making this video is not like a gotcha sort of a thing. With feedback, then Apple can fix things and make sure that they're working as good as they can be for people. This is a big, broad topic. Apple's dipping their toes here into the AI waters this year, and it really causes people to think about, a lot of people for the first time as they're encountering these things. Some people have been thinking about this for years, but a lot of people are like, well, what does it mean to, for a human to interact with tech and other people? And what about privacy, security, autonomy? It's actually pretty easy to see why Apple tried to tackle this, because I actually ran into a Pew Research stat that said 72% of smartphone users report feeling overwhelmed by the volume of notifications they receive daily. So obviously there's some potential demand for this. And I would love to know where you fall in terms of, do you feel like this is good, bad? Are you going to use it? Are you going to turn it off? Are you going to tweak it and really personalize and customize it? How does it affect your psychology, kind of like as you interact with people and you interact with summaries of what people have told you? Are you really interacting with them in a same way, in a significant way? Or are we just abstracting things so much that it's getting weird? I would love to know your thoughts on all this. So give me your hot takes, your cold takes, and just your user experience so far. If you've never checked out one of my courses, you should check out the AI and I bundle, because it's actually several courses in one. It's in pre-order, so you get a really crazy value. It's only $99, but all the course content would equal $450 if you didn't get this pre-sale. And you get a course to dig into right away while you're waiting for the AI course to launch. It's my Pro iPhone Video Essentials course. And by the way, you can check out my Learning to Be Productive course or my Freeform Unleashed course for 50% off right now for the holidays. Limited time, so check it out. It's all linked up down below.